to everyone on this Wednesday, the last Wednesday of the year. And what we are talking about today is spinning straw into gold, as it is our headline topic. Failure. Failure, everyday failure, like it was today, when things just don't work as planned. The key is there to stay calm, which of course is a huge challenge, because you want to be there on time and you want to be able to deliver what you were up to deliver. But yeah, things change. In this case, login details change. And actually, you know, it's so amazing how difficult it is being made to show up these days with all these digital tools. We are, you know, not in the possession of, I don't know, our powers anymore. It's really incredible how dependent we are on all the settings. And I'm actually just changing another setting here to make this a better experience. I was just listening and getting into the day with getting ready for talking to you. And I'm always curious in, you know, what other people say about certain topics, or actually how they answer certain questions. And how to deal with failure is the question that is our main topic. And actually, it's very easy. It's a, you know, very simple answer. It's like, well, just stop thinking about it as a failure. It's a learning. And we are finished with the topic. It's very easy, right? For the ones who are here for these fast forwards, as I call them, we are done. It's a learning. Reminds me of a conversation that we had earlier this week. Actually, it starts to, you know, really look strange if you're like, well, but I'm afraid of failing. And then if you replace the word failing with learning, I'm afraid of learning. And then you're like, what? I'm afraid of learning? Why would I be afraid of learning? Well, you know, if you go deeper into it, then there's like a huge cave that is opening up with lots and lots of questions that follow after that. But, you know, when you replace those words in this way, then you are like immediately seeing that there is something that has been programmed in a very, very wrong way into our minds if we are afraid of learning. And this realization is very hard to take in, but it is also opening a lot of doors. And first of all, it's opening you up into chaos, because you will be like, oh, really? I have been programmed? How could I not see that? Yeah, and that's the difficult moment, those seconds where you actually realize, oh my God, I didn't see that. And it makes me angry, to be honest, if these moments happen to me, and they do happen more often, actually, because I'm now much more aware of what's happening inside me. I can actually grasp this disappointment, this huge wave of, how could I not see that? That comes up inside me when I find out about something. I might have had a strange feeling inside, where I just let it go at that point when that feeling was there. I kind of like, that's strange. But life went on and things move on fast. So you are like not noticing that thought. And then when those, life goes on in that way and you just accepted something. And then maybe the next thing that is based on that point before is building on that one. And like that, there's like huge castles being built on assumptions, as I would call them now, on feelings that were telling us, there's something actually wrong here. Maybe that's not the way it is. So we're building all these huge castles and skyscrapers on it. And then if we find out that the very stone on the bottom of all of it, that foundation, is actually not existing, which means that everything we build upon that is collapsing. Yeah. And that's why most people are fighting so hard to not see that this foundation you built something upon was wrong, because all of the buildings and skyscrapers and cathedrals would collapse otherwise. Are you seeing them collapsing? Are you feeling that feeling of being made wrong, especially if you're yourself making yourself wrong? It's a huge wave that comes across you if you allow it to. The other option is to keep on fighting, to not have all those creations collapse on top of you. And here we go, in this situation, in these moments, we think they're collapsing on top of us. Well, actually, they're not. We are on the side. We are not in them. These are thoughts, and we are not our thoughts. That's again one of those fast forwards. We are not our thoughts. I think we have, on an average, 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day. And I think the number was we breathe 20,000 times a day. So thoughts come and go, and we're still here. I'm still here. I have a roof on top of my head. It's raining outside, and I'm in a warm and dry place. I'm not hungry. I'm talking to you, and I'm fine. Right? I'm sharing my experiences with you, and I'm fine. So letting things collapse that are in our minds based on the creations, the concepts that we have built upon wrong assumptions, even though we were alerted by thoughts that might not be the foundation. It might not have been the right stone or brick to build something upon. We need to disconnect this attachment to our creations. And we need to start again. Take this learning and analyze, okay, what was wrong there? How can we catch, first of all, those thoughts that are warning us when we are going into a wrong direction, when we are missing to catch an assumption? I've talked to you about a very personal experience where I missed to catch that thought that I left my purse in a shop and went home, even though my mind alerted me to it. So that means we have to become more and more alert, more and more conscious to capture everything that's going on around us, to actually allow our sensors and our communication channels to reach us. I hope you can follow that visual image that I'm trying to create here. Just imagine ourselves, imagine you to be sitting alongside a road on a big piece of stone and watching all those thousands of thoughts and feelings and coming by, racing by in cars, in trucks, in different forms and formats. And you're just sitting on the side of that stream that is coming along. Calmly, yeah. We can just see what's coming by, especially the negative thoughts. We just have to let them pass by. We don't have to be in it. Because that's where this programming is happening. It's out there to get us. This programming is set up for us to be busy constantly, to be overwhelmed, to not find a moment in time to find ourselves, to be ourselves, to constantly feel we are behind what's happening. We need to find that exit. We need to allow ourselves to exit, to just step out of that stream and sit there and watch. Sit back and watch and breathe. And acknowledge that we are here, that we are actually fine, and that we have all the choices of the world to pick out those thoughts that we really care for, that we value, that we have our hearts invested in. And then you suddenly see those options. We are here on earth, right? We have this time here, we have our lifetime, we have the present, we have the now, and the free will to decide what we are going to do with that time. How do you want to spend your time? That's the question. How do you want to spend your time that makes you feel useful, that makes you feel purposeful, that allows you to contribute what you bring into this life to others? Because in the end, we are not here on earth to be with ourselves. We're here to be with others. The more we understand about ourselves, who we are, the more we also understand that we are here only in connection with others. It's changing perspective, big time. So actually the whole topic about spinning straw into gold is about learning, and it's about learning about yourself as a very first step, getting to know yourself. Many cases of the speakers that I had the honor to work with, those speakers that were sharing their stories on the fuck up nights that I organized. They found out that their stories were actually much more a setup for failure rather than a personal error or mistake that they have done. But because they were so invested and so troubled by the constant action and thousands of thoughts and things running at the same time, they were not able to see that they've been set up. And because when we share stories of our failures, what we believe that are our failures, and we get feedback by others, they can see that because they're not in it. They're not in it in that stream that I've been drawing in our imaginary board that we are creating here together. They're not in it so they can see with a little bit of a distance. And this is exactly the challenge that we have in any kind of learning, actually. I've written an article once and the headline was, "Why Knowledge Disappears." Does that make any sense to you? I was trying to describe that experience when you learn something. As soon as you learned it, you started to become good in it, it somehow disappears. It becomes normal. It has been integrated into you and you don't value it anymore. You're not conscious of it anymore because it disappears. It feels as it disappears because, after you learned how to ride the bicycle, it has become just a very normal thing. And that's how it is with our knowledge as well. If you read something, you learn some new facts and you kind of integrate into that map of knowledge that is in your mind. It somehow disappears because it becomes normal. It's integrated, becomes part of you. And we feel it's gone because it's not anything special anymore. Can you see where I'm trying to go? everything that we are good at, that what we have learned, the knowledge we have, becomes part of us. And we don't value it as much as we did before when we didn't have it. So this is that learning process that is happening in every one of us. We are humans, right? So there is no way out of that. That's just how learning happens. It happens only if we are motivated and open to let it happen. That's a very important fact. If you're closing yourself off, shutting the door, then none of this can happen. That's the very first step. So when something goes wrong, whatever it has been, we need to first be able to open that door and say, okay, let's analyze. I think we're only able to open the door to analyze something if we have acknowledged that everything we do the very first time will almost necessarily lead to failure, because no one learns something and is doing something perfect the very first time you do something. That's just not how it is. But if you think back, or if you watch children learning to walk or learning to ride a bicycle, they know, well, if you fall, you get up again. You check if you're not hurt somewhere, so you can go on and do it again. And we don't have to attach any kind of feelings to that. Feelings in the sense of, making us feel wrong, because that's actually what our mind has been programmed to do, to make us feel that we are wrong, that we are not enough as human beings. We have been trained, we have been programmed to make ourselves feel less about ourselves when something like this happens, instead of more. Because we have learned something new. We have just upgraded ourselves. That's the currency of experience. And why is this happening? I mean, we could talk hours about this. For me, this is the system fuck up we are in. Someone, and it's not one, someone or something out there has allowed systems to be set up in a way that is constantly pushing down individuals to think less of themselves. Why would any system want to do that? Well, because we become controllable. We are being manipulated into believing less about ourselves, because it's much easier to govern, to rule people who think less of themselves, because then they listen to the outside. Whatever you tell someone who feels less of themselves is the solution, is the way out. If I don't believe that I can solve a problem by myself, I will look for help from outside, right? I'm not enough. I don't know what to do. Please tell me what to do. Whoever is there around us, please tell me what to do. Yeah, that's the point. When we are looking for a solution and answers from the outside, we actually have put ourselves down. That's an indicator. Now you might think, well, we cannot know everything. Yes, you're right about that as well, but that's a conscious choice to go into collaboration. And that's why I have dedicated my life to fostering and teaching and enabling and empowering people to collaborate. Because that's what we are here on earth to do. And somehow, across the centuries, we have been made to believe that we can all do it alone. It's just not fun to do things alone, I think. And I so much always want to go out and find others to be able to collaborate, to work with them, because they make me a so much, better creator, because I need that feedback from others, actually a feed forward. I need input. I need to be able to communicate, to explain what I'm actually having in my mind. So it's actually, again, another fast forward. I would think, I think the biggest struggle we have as humans is to deal with our own minds. And I just, don't really fancy to deal with my own minds and questions in front of a mirror. I would love to have others around me that are, trying to understand what I'm blabbering here and giving me that feedback if it makes sense to them or not. And those ideas that keep on coming, just imagine in those 60 to 70,000 thoughts that come every day, there's lots of ideas hiding in there. And don't worry, with all this big traffic going on here every day, the real important ideas will keep on coming. That is actually something I've really consolidated and calmed down my mind. I'm trusting my mind to keep bringing up those important ideas that I should not miss, even if I'm not watching. I'm trusting myself that those important ideas will keep on coming back to me until I listen to them, until I'm able to capture them when they happen, until I'm able to find the right timing and the right collaboration partners to make them a reality. One sentence to write down and to really let sink into all of your cells, to trust your own mind, to bring up the important messages that you need to hear. Give your own mind the space to bring you those messages. My personal way is to slow down. To slow down, to stop working, and I cannot tell you how many years I've been on a constant work schedule. Even weekends, holidays are not anything that's known for me in my dictionary. I love to do what I do, so for me I don't need holidays. But I did get to understand that I need to have free time when I do nothing. when I just read a book, when I take a long bath, to just let my mind wander and to give my mind the space to bring back those messages, those thoughts that are really important, that I am able to capture them. This is a huge task, and I'm really, yeah, having a lot of respect. I take take off my hat in awe that the mind is able to keep delivering those messages to me again when I'm not busy with something, so that I'm pushing away the thoughts and will not even be able to notice nor capture them at all. Do you think you can do that? Let's recap. What is that important first step that we can become more aware of things of our daily lives? Stepping out of that constant traffic of thoughts, emotions, ideas, negative ones, positive ones, anything that has to do with what we are doing, our daily routines. Let us make that step back, those 2 steps back, so that we can become the observers of ourselves. So that we are able to capture those important gold nuggets that are coming along every day. Together with appreciating what is happening, appreciating what we have, acknowledging the now, and seeing that we are actually fine. If we are able to do that, then we open the door to recognizing the learning that is actually happening with every story of failure that we might have in mind. Of course, there is tools and ways for those analysis, those analytical processes that need to go on, that you need to be guided through to understand the power, to find that golden nugget that has been delivered to you. Doing all this alone is not that easy. I'm sure you know, but why is that so? Well, my explanation is that emotions that are coming over ourselves or our bodies actually have chemical reactions in our bodies. They change the way our body behaves. our heartbeat starts to race. We don't breathe deep enough anymore. It has all kinds of reactions. Maybe you blush. You may even fall if you're walking somewhere. And because of this distraction that's happening due to the emotions coming over you, you don't see something that in front of you and you actually fall. So we get hurt. Stress hurts our bodies. And it's really, really difficult to step out of this wave of emotions that hit us. So we have to learn to get prepared, because when failure happens, when something happens that goes wrong, we are affected. And even though you have practiced this for years and years, those waves of emotions will still keep coming. That's just how it is. We can just be better prepared. We can learn what to do in those moments, or we can just learn how to survive those moments. We can just stop, stall, and let them pass by. Because sometimes they're very short. I don't know who I've heard that from, but I think it's 7 seconds. Those 7 seconds that we need to survive until we are kind of in the possession of our decisions and the free will, our options. We can see our options again. And this is beautiful. I mean, will you survive 7 seconds of huge emotions or feeling hurt? And I mean, 7 seconds, we should be able to survive 7 seconds, right? To let them pass by. And even if it's 30 seconds, we should be able to do that, right? Do you think you are able to do that? We could count 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. 7 seconds. And then we can breathe again. I don't know. I have lost myself now in talking to you today. I'll try to recap again, which I've tried again already. Please put in your questions or thoughts into the chat. More than happy to take that in, to take them in, and to allow you actually to guide me back to those important fast forwards that I've mentioned. This may have to become something that I'll deliver to you afterwards, so that we can just be focusing on the thoughts that we are sharing, those images that we are creating together right now in the presence. Thank you. There is a chat message. Yes, I was also very, very happy to learn that it is those 7 seconds that we need to dive through this tsunami of emotions that it's not, so much longer that we have to endure until we come out on the other side. Actually, I always have this tsunami in my mind, which is something that goes on so much longer. This is real devastation. But it's a proper image, I think, for the emotions that we are, that is sweeping us under, actually. So let me try to do those, to collect our fast forwards of today. Maybe we can do it backwards. So the 7 seconds for me are connected to the bodily reactions that happen when we are realizing that we have done something wrong. We had this realization, a fast forward, that when we have built castles on top of foundations that are actually not the reality or the truth, we have come to this understanding why people fight so hard to not admit any kind of failure, and not to say this about people, why we fight so hard with ourselves to not admit our errors and failures. Which leads me to another one of the fast forwards, that we need to change the wordings we use. To reprogram that programming that has happened in our minds, that we are putting ourselves down when we have done something wrong. We are completely forgetting that we are all learning, that we are constantly learning every way, every day, and in everything we do, we are constantly learning. Yes, thank you very much for that message. Reprogramming failing as learning, and not just stay on the level of this sentence. We are not afraid of learning. We are actually here on earth to learn. Humans love to learn. We want to evolve. We want to create solutions. We want to ease people's suffering. We want to ease people's pain. We want to be there for each other. And everything is about learning. So we need to dive into the depth of failure to realize that it is learning, and then slowly keep on changing the words we use, to actually communicate and talk to ourselves. We are very, very rough and judgmental and putting ourselves down. This self-talk that we have with ourselves. We have to learn to be kind to ourselves again. Because when we are able to be kind to ourselves, then we can also be kind to others. So I think that was 3 very profound fast forwards that you can take away for today? I would very much like to bring in your stories, answer your questions, have a conversation about the questions that might be stuck in your mind and you might be carrying around for a long time already in search of an answer. I can tell you that appreciating ourselves of who we are is definitely the starting point. It happens in a blink of a second that we put ourselves down. We don't even have to wait for 7 seconds. It happens right away. You do something and you put yourself down. We are actually masters in putting ourselves down immediately, allowing those emotions to sweep us away, even in a bigger way. So, how can we take this? Let's use the remaining time of today to figure out how we can take those 3 fast forwards, those 3 learnings into the next year. How can we actually practically do that? Well, what I'm gonna do for myself as well, because I was just told this yesterday by a very, very, very good friend of mine. And she reminded me of that again. You know, what we do and what many of us maybe, do as a daily exercise, as a daily routine, is that we write things down. A good way to capture thoughts of our minds as well. So keeping a diary, keeping a book, keeping lots of little pieces of paper as it is on my desk. Writing down those 3 learnings and putting them up somewhere where you can see them to remind ourselves of those 3 important points. And there is a chat coming in from one of our listeners with a story. Thank you so much, and I'm happy to share that with you. So it says, the other week, I overheard children in the playground putting themselves down. One boy said, I'm the worst kid here. It's sad to see how this negative thinking about ourselves starts so early on. Yes, that's actually a very, very good point that I would love you to take with you, to pay it forward, not just to ourselves, but to tell everybody you encounter putting themselves down, to turn that around and maybe go to that boy and just say, why are you saying that? You are just one of the kids here, and there's nothing that is bad or worst about you. Show me what you have built. Let us acknowledge each other and pull those who are putting themselves down back up and say, no, 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 don't go there. Stay up here. You're, just as beautiful and as valuable as everyone else here. We are all born with the best intentions, the very, very best intentions. We all want to do good, we want to be valuable, and we want to contribute to meaningful things, to buildings, to creations that serve people. I do that, and I'm very happy to, yeah, capture people in those moments when they put themselves down, when they speak bad about themselves, and where I say, no, why? Who has told you that? That's one of the questions I use. Who has told you that you are the worst kid here? You're not. We all learn, we all make mistakes. As simple as that. I'm surprised and astounded always that this programming worked so well that it's even in our little ones so early on. We need to surround ourselves with people who pull us up, who acknowledge who we are, and who always try to find that part, that learning part that is in everything we do. There is, of course, a category of errors that don't really have to happen, in the sense of, okay, we are carrying some bottles and then one of those bottles breaks because it slips out of our hands. Yeah, but if you dive deeper into that, I mean, you're right. Let's not do that. You can be angry at the person for doing it. Does it do any good? No, because the bottle is already broken. I can just ask, can I help you? What's happening? Are you feeling bad? What's in your mind right now that makes you so unaware of the bottles you are currently carrying? Did you slip? Did you do, did anything else happen to you? How can I support you that this doesn't happen to you again? These are the questions that we need to ask ourselves, or ask someone that, without an intention, of course, has dropped something or has destroyed something, whatever it is that might have happened due to not doing what you were doing in that moment in a very conscious way. Hmm? I would use that picture that I have created in your minds already now with that stream of thoughts going on to explain how it happens, right? That we're doing things and we are kind of clumsy, or we do things without intention, something that leads to something breaking in the end. We have to slow down. We have to be conscious of what we are doing. We have to be focused on an activity that might have a negative outcome, right? So this could be one of the messages that you might want to write down for yourselves, and you might want to hang it up somewhere where you can be reminded of it. The more thoughts we can replace maybe with those insights that we have gained today, the more we will be able to reprogram and solidify that belief that we can replace failing or making mistakes with learning. We can practice and become faster in finding our balance again. We can become calmer in getting through those 7 seconds. Start breathing deeply again and getting to that point where we say, oh, okay, I maybe need a break now. I've dropped the bottle. I've dropped my favorite cup. Why did I do that? Well, I need a break. I've been working too much. I need to sleep. Or I need to get away from that situation that I'm in. I need to do something for me to be able to balance things out again, to set things straight. And if we all are able to focus on this day by day, hour by hour, minute by minute, we will be able to create a huge change based on a chain reaction that comes out of being kind to ourselves, giving space to ourselves when we need it. Yes. Is that a good way to start into the next year? With a reminder to be kind to ourselves and to be very practical of how to be kind to ourselves. So I think I've made up a couple of minutes that we started late today. And I want to wish you all the best that you can imagine, and more of that even, for this changing of the year that is coming up. And I would actually like to invite you to come to my changing of the year session on the 31st. It's around lunchtime in the European time zone. And I will share one of the traditions that I have created over the last years on how I reflect on the last year and how I would like to go into the new year. And I want to celebrate that with people from my network, with people I collaborate with. So you are cordially invited to come to that session as well. Just bump in anytime, even if you only have a few minutes, that's fine too. I will share this invitation with you and wish you a very, very happy new start into a very new world I feel that we are creating right now. Thank you very much for listening. Bye, everyone.